Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gundam.my. I'm your host Abdurrahman as always, and today we are going to be unboxing and reviewing the kit of the Gundam 00 Sky Mobius. It is a HG kit from the Build Diversity Rise universe, and this kit is the Mobius variant. Now there's two variants of the 00. It is the 00 Mobius, the 00 Sky, the 00 Sky and the 00 Sky Mobius, which I am unboxing it right now. Now this kit is similar with the 00 Sky. It has its own particle effects, as you can see. Now the particle effects is really nice, so later we'll go a close-up view of why I say it is really nice. So overall, it's a really well-balanced kit. It provides a lot of options for you to play with. Later I'll explain to you why and how you get a lot of options with this kit. So let's see the model itself, shall we? So after assembling the kit, here it is, the 00 Sky Mobius. Now if you notice that the effects, one of the shoulder effects, I didn't actually attach to it because later I want to have a closer look with the effects for the GN drive. Now overall, it has a total of 4 effects. Now the effect that you see on the legs can actually be attached on the hands themselves. So yeah, you have the option to do that. And also the part of the legs that you see I'm trying to fiddle with, yes, those things can actually be moved, but it is best to be left in that specific position. So overall, this is the 00 Sky Mobius. Really, the effects are nice. Now you can see a little bit of glittering. Yes, that's the special thing about the effects for the 00 Sky Mobius. Now it doesn't have that same effect with the 00 Sky. I feel that with the 00 Sky, it's just their plain purple, so it doesn't give that GN drive feel. But with the 00 Sky Mobius, if you notice, it has almost the similar designs. Of course, it has the similar designs of the 00 Sky, but the colorization is different. Now with this kit, you have an astonishing 3 beam rifles that you can actually attach together. As you can see, I can actually attach all of them together and making an abomination of a triple gun of a beam rifle. So you have within this kit 2 shorter beam rifles and 1 longer beam rifles. Now the beam rifles can actually be attached to the back side of the 00 Sky Mobius. As you can see, there's a socket right there that you can actually just push and pull for the long beam rifle. But for the short ones, there's actually already a sprue for you to just push it in right on the back side, as you can see. And yes, you can actually stack the beam rifles together, and you can actually just combine the two, and you can just add it to the backpack itself. Yes, you can actually just combine everything to the backpack itself, to the back side itself. So that's like 3 beam rifles, which is considered quite a lot for your basic HG kit. And as I mentioned, the effects for the GN drive. And next is the effects for the arms and the legs itself. And last and certainly not least, it is the arm wing binders. Now the arm wing binders are again really nice features, a lot of options for you to play with. And this kit comes with 2 things, which is basically Buster Swords and the Buster Cannon itself. Now I didn't use the Buster Sword and the cannons due to the fact that I find it is a bit loose in my taste, probably from my own end. I think the assembly is a bit of a wonky on my part, but it provides with its own Buster Sword and its Buster Cannon itself, which you can actually, interestingly enough, can be attached to the wing, which is basically the backside of the 00 Sky Mobius. Now the kit also comes with its own beam sabers, and surprisingly it doesn't have its own beam effect. Now you notice that I actually had to use some of the armor parts of the skirts. Yes, you can actually detach it to actually combine it to form the beam saber itself. So a lot of options right there out of the bag. So let's take a closer look to the backpack of the. So the 00 Sky Mobius actually has an option, a feature of itself, that it can move the backpack as so it can move to a downwards angle, as you can see. Now this will form the 00 Sky Mobius in a lash position, which that means basically the 00 Sky Mobius will have its backpack lowered to gain a much more better center of gravity, which will make the Gundam much more faster. Now, as you can see, you can actually attach the effects even in the lash position, which will make it look as cool as in its default. So let's take a closer look with the arm wing binders. Now the arm wing binders, interestingly enough, has a lot of features for you to mess around and play with. Now the arm wing binders can transform into the Moebius erendite, which are basically really big beam sabers. It actually has its own effect for the beam sabers itself. Now I'm actually going to attach the wing binders onto the 00 Sky Mobius to form in its neutral mode, which is basically in its passive mode. Now this is actually the 00 Sky Mobius in its normal mode. Now to transform it in the last position, you just actually have to just lower the backpack, and that's about it. That's in last position. Now, yes, as I mentioned before, you can actually attach the Buster Sword and the Buster Cannon onto the 00 Sky Mobius. Now, as I mentioned, these two parts are pretty frail and are pretty loose. Now, most probably due to my own mistake, and as you can see, they are really loose. So I wouldn't advise you to add them. But if you wish to have the 00 Sky Mobius with different variants, yes, you can do that. And the guns can actually be positioned frontwards, as you can see, almost as similar as the design of the Strike Freedom, where you can just actually hold it up. It kind of reminds me of the design of the Talgeese, that it actually has a shoulder cannon for it. So overall, for the entire kit, it seems that it provides with a lot of options for you to play around and fiddle with. Now, I'm just going to remove the Buster Sword and the Buster Cannon itself. Now, overall, it is a nice option for you to have for the backpack itself. So, here are the features and closer look for the arm wing binders. Now, the arm wing binders, as I mentioned, has a lot of features in it for itself. So, let's take a closer look at that. So, the arm wing binders can transform into the Moebius erendite and the Moebius beam cannon. Yes, it can actually transform into its own beam cannon, as you can see. Now, with the wing binders, you can actually even attach them onto the beam rifles respectively, but unfortunately you cannot attach the said part onto the longer version of the beam rifle. So as you can see, you can actually attach it to the much more shorter versions of the beam rifle. Now, for the wing binders, you can actually form into the Moebius erendite, which are basically large beam swords. Now, as you can see, you can actually attach onto the Moebius beam cannon to the hands itself with little to no problem. Now, I like about this kit, ironically, is the hands itself. Now, the hands are really nice and they hold on to the weapon quite well. Even with the Moebius beam cannon attached onto the beam rifle itself, it seems to be holding pretty well, but it will fall off a bit shortly due to the sheer weight of it. Now, overall, it's way better than the FGs, I would reckon. And that's the thing that I like. Now, this is the arm wing binders in its Moebius erendite form. As you can see, really large. And do not worry about the Moebius erendite's effect parts. It will be included as well. Now, I feel that when it comes to the erendite, it gives that specific emphasis that the 00 Sky Mobius, it has multiple options to cut you. So it can either use its Moebius erendite or its own beam saber. So really a lot of options for you to play with to hack and slash your enemies. Now, to demonstrate the movement of the 00 Sky Mobius. Now, due to recent reviews and due to recent comments, I'll try to move it as lightly and as slowly as possible. So, with the heads, it can be moved 360 as so. Now, the shoulders, surprisingly, has a lot of fluidity, can move 360 as well. Now, these are polycaps, they are not basically ball socketed joint, which is pretty nice. Now, the effects can actually just be socketed in, right inside onto the GN drive. Now, as you can see closely that the effect has that particle glittery effect that kind of shows of the effects for the GN drive. Now, if you notice in any sort of anime, especially in the double O's, that when they transform, now they have that glittery effect. Now with the effects, yes, it actually has a glittery effect. So that's really nice eye to detail by Bandai. Now, as you can see, the movements for the torso is nice, 360, ball socketed joint. Now this is double joint for the torso itself. Now for the hands itself, the hands can be folded nicely without any sort of problem, and it can be folded backwards even in such an acute angle. So it is really nice. A lot of mobility for HG kit. Now this is the newer version of the HG kit. The Double O Sky Mobius was released last year, and as you can see, the armor parts of the hand can actually be change positions because there's two sockets. You can actually change based on your own movement. And so with this kit, it actually has a white version of the V-fin, so you can change that. So with the legs, now the legs surprisingly can make a full split, no problem, no issues, no falling parts with the skirts, really nice overall. The legs, now as you can see, I'm moving as delicately as possible, and with the legs it's really nice, and even the parts of the legs can actually be detached and be moved, but I think that due to the movements it will be that necessary. So I'm just going to detach the legs itself. To me, the movement for the legs is really nice, really sturdy, stiff, but at the same time flexible as well. Now, some of the armor parts for the legs can actually be moved, but in my advice, it's best to just leave it at that. Now, the legs surprisingly can move from side to side. As you can see, the polycap, the joint is revealed to have a much more sleeker movement for the Double O Sky Mobius. Now, the colorization of the Double O Sky Mobius. Now, the difference being with the Double O Sky and the Sky Mobius is, of course, the colorization, but I find the white parts is not actually pure white like your RX-78. It has that grayish tint on it. So it really emphasizes on the Double O Sky. Really, the color differentiation and the color separation is really nice. No sort of problems at all. No falling parts. I see little to no problem with this kit. No frustrations whatsoever. Really sturdy overall. Now, for the options and effects, really worth, especially for HGK. The amount of effects that you have, rarely would you get any sort of effects for your kit. The only effects that I can recall that you will get with the kit is Aegis Knight. Now Aegis Knight also has its effects, but not to an extent to this sort of options that you can play around with. So really a good, worthy HG kit for you to have in your collection, or if you're a fan of the HG Build Divers Re-Rise series. Now, I hope you enjoyed this review as much as I do. Leave a like, share, comment and subscribe. Now, I would suggest you grabbing a stand because of the effects and poses that you can do with this kit is sublime, really awesome overall with the effects. And actually, this kit actually has an extra hand for you to play with, but unfortunately I forgot to show you in this specific video. Now the V-fin also, again, this kit can actually have a white V-fin for you to play with, and overall a lot of options for a lot of reasons for you to play with for the Double O Sky Mobius. Hope you enjoyed this video as much as I do. Leave a like, share, comment and subscribe. A 360 is going to come up soon. So if you're wondering, the thumbnail that we have is actually from the 360. We actually have explosive parts for you to play with. Now that's sold separately in our shop. You can actually get it if you want to have a much more badass way. So here it is, the Double O Sky Mobius fully formed in its high mat full burst mode. Yes, it can actually transform into its third final form. So hope to see you in the next video. Ciao!
Could we try again like nothing happened? Could we just be friends and just pretend that we wouldn't hurt each other, even if we're wrong? like ease from the west is where we are. You're my compass, you're my compass.
Look, you right? Did it just snap off? Yikes! Ah, patah! They snap off. My God! Yikes! Yup, won't be using the Buster Cannon anytime soon.